Charles Darwin was an English naturalist and biologist, famous for his theory of evolution through natural selection. He is considered as one of the most important figures in science history. His book, On the Origin of Species, published in 1859, revolutionized the way we understand the natural world and our place in it. His ideas and theories continue to be widely studied and debated today. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. This quote highlights Darwin's theory of natural selection, which states that organisms that are best able to adapt to their environment are more likely to survive and pass on their advantageous traits to their offspring. In the long history of humankind, and animal kind, too, those who learn to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. This quote emphasizes the importance of cooperation and flexibility in the natural world, as well as the idea that these traits have helped certain species to survive and thrive. The love for all living creatures is the most noble attribute of man. This quote reflects Darwin's belief that the capacity for empathy and compassion is a fundamental aspect of human nature. A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. This quote suggests that time is a precious resource and should be used wisely. The very first requirement in a hospital is that it should do the sick no harm. This quote emphasizes the importance of not causing harm and the need for care and consideration in medical treatment. Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. This quote suggests that a lack of knowledge can lead to overconfidence and that true understanding comes from gaining knowledge. The highest possible stage in moral culture is when we recognize that we ought to control our thoughts. This quote suggests that the ability to control one's thoughts and actions is a key aspect of moral development. A moral being is one who is capable of reflecting on his past actions and their motives, of approving of some and disapproving of others. This quote emphasizes the idea that the ability to reflect on one's actions and motives is a key aspect of being a moral being. The mystery of the beginning of all things is insoluble by us, and I, for one, must be content to remain an agnostic. This quote expresses Darwin's personal belief that the origins of the universe and life are ultimately unknowable. It is not the consciousness of men that determines their existence, but their social existence that determines their consciousness. This quote suggests that our understanding of the world and ourselves is shaped by the society in which we live. Man tends to increase at a greater rate than his means of subsistence. This quote highlights Darwin's observations about population growth and the potential for overpopulation. The more civilized the man, the greater is the difference between his nature and that of a brute. This quote emphasizes the idea that civilization and cultural development have led to significant differences in human behavior and nature compared to other animals. False facts are highly injurious to the progress of science, for they often endure long, but false views, if supported by some evidence, do little harm, for everyone takes a salutary pleasure in proving their falseness. This quote suggests that false ideas or theories can be harmful to scientific progress, but that it is ultimately beneficial to test and disprove them. An American monkey, after getting drunk on brandy, would never touch it again, and thus is much wiser than most men. This quote reflects Darwin's belief that animals can learn from their experiences and make decisions based on them, as opposed to repeating the same mistakes. Man is descended from a hairy-tailed quadruped, probably arboreal in its habits. This quote reflects Darwin's theory of evolution, which states that all living organisms, including humans, have evolved from common ancestors. The whole art of teaching is only the art of awakening the natural curiosity of young minds for the purpose of satisfying it afterwards. This quote suggests that the role of a teacher is to spark curiosity and interest in students, and then to guide them in satisfying that curiosity through learning. A man's friendships are one of the best measures of his worth. This quote suggests that the quality and nature of one's friendships can be an indicator of one's character and worth as a person. Man has an instinctive tendency to speak, as we see in the babble of our young children, while no child has an instinctive tendency to bake, brew, or write. This quote reflects Darwin's belief that language is an innate human ability, while other skills and abilities are learned through experience and culture. The highest possible stage in moral culture is when we recognize that we ought to control our thoughts. This quote suggests that the ability to control one's thoughts and actions is a key aspect of moral development. The more one studies different species, the more one is impressed by the similarity of their mind and emotions. This quote reflects Darwin's belief that there is a continuity of mental characteristics between human and animals. The very essence of instinct is that it's followed independently of reason. This quote suggests that instincts are innate and automatic behaviors that are not necessarily rational or logical.